What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Rope Monster coming at you here from beautiful sunny Playa del Carmen. People are grossly overpaying for rents in Playa, guys. I've been speaking with subscribers and all sorts of people who are paying insane amounts for rent. I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid the most common mistakes and why exactly people are overpaying. And I'm going to give you some real world examples at the end of the video. I'm also going to share with you how much I'm paying and what that gets me. Guys, we have a ton to dig into today, but it is for sure that this video is going to collectively save all of those who watch it tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. So guys, let's dig into rents in Playa del Carmen. Vámonos. I want to make one thing very clear, guys. This is not an us versus them type of video. I've been on both sides, right? So I have experience in property management. And guys, let's define the job of a property manager. It's pretty simple. Let's boil it down to two things. It's maintaining a high occupancy rate and extracting the most value per unit possible. So when these property managers try to get a certain amount, they're just doing their job. If a property manager can get $800 for a unit instead of 700, they're most certainly going to do just that. So I'm not out here trying to make enemies with property managers or necessarily hold anyone accountable. This really boils down to you. You determine the price that you pay for rent. Let me show you what I mean. So guys, this is what I mean. I'm going to give you a real world example. There's no better example than a building in which I used to actually live. So I used to have one of these studio apartments on this side of the building. And guess what? Every single one of these units is the same floor plan, the same square footage. So I paid $550 for one of these studios. And people talk, right? So me and some of the neighbors are up on the roof. And turns out one of my neighbors, we'll call her Stephanie for the sake of this video to protect her privacy. We were all discussing how much we pay. And she had one of the higher up units. Sure, she has a slightly better view, but essentially they're all the same. They all face the street. They don't have a full ocean view. She was paying $850 US. Okay, guys, so to illustrate how much that is, this is what that looks like in pesos right here. It's about 6,000 pesos. Every single month she was paying more, 6,000 more than I was. That works out to be 72,000 pesos a year. And so my point is this, guys. The property manager is always going to tell you, hey, this is how much these units are going for. It's up to you whether or not you agree to that. They're always going to try to extract the max value. Are you really willing to pay a max value? Are you really willing to just pad their pockets with extra pesos, extra cash, to the tune of this right here? That could be spent on nice meals, adventures, etc. So don't make that mistake, guys. So that's real world example number one. And for the sake of the rest of this video, we're going to call all buildings like this that are occupied and finished buildings A, building A. So we're going to go check out what are buildings B and C, you ask. We're going to go check those out and how those affect building A and how they make cap rent raises. All right, guys, and we'll call this a B building, which means it's built but not occupied yet. You can see the finishing touches are being put on this. Well, guess what? This building's right next to an A building. So let's talk about how building B affects building A. When this building's done, all of these units will be available. How do you think that's going to affect the pricing power here? Well, I think they're going to have a little bit less room to raise rents because all of a sudden there's going to be another 30 or so units available right here. So another reason people are way overpaying is that the supply right now is pretty strong. Yes, building A is full, but what happens when building B is done? And then let's go see some building C's. Building C will stand for construction. Buildings that aren't built yet but are under construction. When those units hit, what's really going to happen to building A? Those rents might have to even come down a little bit, but they'll certainly have less power to keep going up. So I recently just spoke with someone, and I'm basically doing this video on an emergency basis. I need you guys to stop overpaying for rent. It's getting really bad. You guys are getting screwed and ripped off, a lot of you that I'm talking to. The problem is with, we'll call her Stephanie for this video. Stephanie was locked into a 1-year contract. So when she found out what I paid, she's like, I want to pay $550 or I want to pay $600. Well, she's locked into a 1-year contract at $850. Oops. And that's a pretty big oopsie, because like I said, that's 72,000 pesos over the course of a year. That's more than some people make in a year, or it's a chunk of change anyway, we'll say that, as far as for Mexico. Guys, the other reason too I need you to stop overpaying for rent is not for you, it's not for me, it's for the local people. If you're willing to pay almost $1,000 for a studio, you're going to displace the locals from their apartments and gentrify the entire neighborhood, and then it will lose its charm completely. So those are all very important points. So what should you pay in this neighborhood? We're in La Colosio neighborhood, by the way. This is not a high-end fancy neighborhood, or at least it shouldn't be. This is very much the people's neighborhood. Donaldo Colosio, who my drone is named after, Donaldo Colosio. This is the people's neighborhood. You shouldn't be paying more than 10 to 12,000 pesos for a studio apartment in this neighborhood. Anything more than that's a little bit ridiculous. Now this brings us to another building, an A building, okay? This one right here. I have a friend who lives here in this building. Guess how much he's paying? With an ocean view, by the way. Can you guess? Right between that 10 and 12,000 point that I just mentioned. He's paying 11,000 pesos, guys. So for those of you who are paying 20,000 pesos for a studio in Colosio, please stop doing that. I really hope this video is reaching a lot of folks before they come down, before they move down. But what's interesting about this property right here is that this building's been here for quite some time. These units here are brand new. This entire structure is brand new. And they were asking 18,000 pesos for some of those units. And let me say, they're really narrow. I looked at one of them. When they told me the price, I just about laughed my way out. And I'll explain why at the end of this video when I tell you how much I pay for a 1-bedroom in a very nice neighborhood. So the 2 buildings I just showed, guys, were right on 5th Avenue, studio apartments in the price point, or at least what they should be, right at about 11,000. But if you come up here to 10th Avenue, just 1 block off of 5th, and you're on 10th or even between 10th and 15th, say in units like this, with all this traffic, those really shouldn't be going for more than about 7,000 pesos a month. So the power is in your hands. That's the point of this segment of the video. The power is in your hands. You don't have to be paying what these people are asking. I can guarantee you, especially if you're a gringo or a Canadian and you walk in there, they're going to try to extract max value. Nothing against them. That's their job, okay? But it's up to you to not pay it. For your sake, for my sake, and for the locals' sake, don't pay ridiculous prices, guys. So I actually visited a friend recently, and she had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath on the other side, just on the other side of 30th, only about a 7 or 8 minute walk from where I'm standing, and she was paying 7,000 pesos, and it was a nice big apartment, 2-bed, 2-bath. So I'm trying to give you guys some reasonable price points per neighborhood. We're also going to cover the Sasilha neighborhood, one of my favorites, in this video. So I'm hoping that this is bringing a ton of value to you guys, and forgive me, I didn't have a ton of time to organize or plan this out. This video was inspired by a couple of people I spoke with today. One of them was paying 4,000 Canadian for a tiny 1-bedroom place, not even in the best neighborhood. So I basically felt like this was my duty to get out here. I'll film more videos like this that are probably a little more well put together, but I think I'm bringing some serious value here and hopefully saving you all a ton of money. So guys, I decided to spend a little bit more time here in La Colosio. Here just next door we have a Se Renta sign. Then there's also a lot more C buildings buildings under construction as we walk to the north. So I told you I would bring you solutions. Well, solution one is simply make an offer. Don't just blindly accept that they say, well, this is how much this unit's going for. A question that I commonly ask property managers, and they usually answer honestly without thinking about it, because it is an honest question. I usually ask, how long has this unit been on the market available? I've done that in the past, looking at places in December, and they said since August. And I'm thinking, well, you must be inclined to maybe potentially take a little bit of a discount to what you're asking for. And I think that what's happening in Playa del Carmen right now is very similar to what happened in Tulum. The demand spiked and the builders overbuilt. And so check this out, just 2 blocks from the building A we were just looking at, we have another one going up here that by this time next year that will have units available. Okay, so the leverage is shifting. These property managers are always going to try to get top dollar. That's their job. They're always going to try to extract maximum value. But if I had to guess, I mean, this building right here could easily have 24 units, and that's just a guess. But this is a C building, then we have that B building next to building A. And so all these units, all this supply is going to hit the market pretty much at the same time. There's another one down that's going to be done probably in 3 months, down where the old Ceviche Corazon was, only a 5-minute walk to the south from here. So my point is that the supply is definitely growing. Sure, the demand is going up. People are moving down here, no doubt about it. But a reasonable price for a high-end, fancy, nice one-bedroom place. For those of you who follow the channel, you probably saw my old apartment after I moved out of this building. I moved into a place that was absolutely beautiful, had a bathtub with an ocean view, and that was 18,000 pesos. That's the max I would pay for a nice one-bedroom. But the max you should pay for a nice studio is about 12,000. Now you know, guys, please smash the like button for me, subscribe if you haven't already. We're gonna move on to the Sasilha neighborhood, and for those of you who stick around, I'm going to share with you what I pay and what that gets me. I think it's gonna blow your minds, especially if you're paying 4,000 Canadian or 2,000 or 2,500 US dollars a month. So one final note here on this particular street. We're on 74th and 5th Ave in La Colosio, and I moved into this place in that beautiful one-bedroom with the bathtub. But I first looked at this place right here. They wanted 15,000 pesos for a tiny little studio that had an ocean view, but it was really just a view of a rotoplas water tank on top of a roof with a tiny sliver of ocean. So it wasn't really an ocean view. So I went across the street and found that place for 18,000 for the one bedroom. And honestly, that was pretty high. I probably could have negotiated that down to about 16. But I wasn't going to split hairs over 2,000 pesos. That's reasonable. 18,000 is reasonable. 15 for a studio, or 16 like Stephanie, well, more like 17,000 like Stephanie was paying for a studio, is ridiculous. When you have to sleep, eat, work, and cook all basically in the same room, is that really worth 18 or 19,000 pesos? Nah. And for those of you wondering, the ocean view units in that building do go for over 1,300 US dollars, so 26,000 pesos. And I was actually just speaking with a lovely woman who used to rent one of those. We were neighbors. We were in the building at the same time together, and I showed her my new place, and she was like, wow, I've been overpaying. And so yet another inspiration to film this video. I'm not going to name names. Everyone remains anonymous. But, she's like, wow, you're in a better neighborhood, you're paying less. And spoiler alert, guys, my electricity is included in my bill. I even get a weekly cleaning included in my place. So I'll share with you the price here at the end of the video. Well, let's go walk around Sasilha, one of my favorite neighborhoods in Playa del Carmen. Once again, if you appreciate me putting in the steps, just smash that like button for me, subscribe if you haven't already. So here on 10th, guys, we have a bunch of A buildings. These are all finished and all of these units are for rent. So you think maybe the prices are a little bit negotiable? And then guess what? We have another C building right here. This one is close to being done already. Right here on 62 between 5th and 10th. And this building here, Honey Suites, has studios and 1-bedrooms. And one time I inquired about one of those suites there, and it is a nice one, but 20,000 pesos they wanted for a studio. Please guys, if you're watching this and you already live and rent in Playa del Carmen, let us all know which neighborhood you're in and how much you pay for rent in the comments below. And if you're moving down to Playa del Carmen, how much you're willing to pay. What's your budget for rent if you're coming down to Playa del Carmen trying to retire early or trying to live the digital nomad expat life? How much are you really willing to pay? Please do leave that info in the comments below, guys. Yet another building here on 10th. So there's no shortage of supply, and I wanted to show you that there's actually another building in construction here as I'm walking back toward Sasilha, and it's a big one too. I actually helped sorry, I can't talk, I'm tired, it's been a long day already. I helped the guys hoist the beams up on a few different occasions during construction, and so I did get some information on the building from them. They said it's going to have a nice penthouse. The penthouse at that very first A building was going for, I think 30,000 pesos, about 1,500 US, to give you a reference point. So I'll keep you posted when these buildings get finished and actually get inside and see what the units are like, see how much they're going for. But the main message here, guys, is that you really have a couple of different options, but first and foremost is always negotiate. The prices are not fixed. This is what the property manager would like to get, the number that they quote you in the beginning, and then you can kind of say, well, this is my budget, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not considered rude at all. The worst they can do is say, no, we can't go that low. Maybe you meet in the middle. The other option is that you can go deeper into Colosio. I used to live up on 92 between 10 and 15, and I was paying 6,500 pesos for a very nice studio. Was it a little rough around the edges in the neighborhood? Sure. Were there street dogs? Absolutely. But Cali King bed, nice TV, 5-burner gas stove, and it was 6,500 pesos, about 325 US. So if you're deep in Colosio and you're paying more than 7 or 8, you're probably overpaying once again. So I'm hoping this video is giving you guys enough reference, enough guide, enough kind of reference numbers to know how much or how little to be offering depending on where you are. But if you're in this part of Colosio, 10 to 12. If you're deep in Colosio, 7 to 9 max. You know I had to stop and get a coconut from Miguelito.
Yes,
#1 right here. Yeah. Definitely make your stop. If you are in Colosio, decide to live here, the benefit is you get to live near Miguelito, and get the best coconuts in Playa del Carmen at the best price. So guys, I'm armed with my coconut. We are now in the beautiful Sasilha neighborhood. I've done a full video on Sasilha. I'll link that at the end of the video in the corner of the screen. But guys, there's an abundance of apartments. I looked at some apartments back in here that were very budget friendly. There's a number of apartments up this entire street. This is 44th, and we have another C building here, another construction building there. So guys, the supply is growing fast. If you want an actual video where I'm going around showing apartments and including the rents, I'll link that video right here. If you want the Sasilha neighborhood tour, I'll link that video right here. And I'll come at you with another more complete video. And guys, as promised, how much do I pay? I pay 18,000 a month for a 1-bedroom, including electricity, a weekly cleaning. I've got a rooftop pool, a balcony. The location's fantastic. And guys, the best part is I don't even have a contract. It's month to month. So there you have it, guys. As promised, that's how much I pay, 18,000. And some people are paying more than that for a studio in Colosio. So guys, please stop overpaying for rent. I hope this video saves you a ton of money in the future going forward. See you guys in the next one. Rope Monster out. Oh, what's that? Yet another new building going up. Shocking.